Great. Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Friday, August 15th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because my president is trying to make sure there's world peace. It's also the place where the brave, like the three veterans we will honor today, Colonel James J. Coolican, Carbondale, Jerome Francis Ruddy, Clark Summit, and former Scrantonian, Major Francis Ruddy. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government official, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Well, some of them use it just to lie, but that's okay. We know better. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because we had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the morning, because we are committed to common sense. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:15. And we are underway. By the way, tomorrow, big day for two things that are both happen to be in downtown Scranton. 10 to 5 at Picardo's, hot cars, cool watches. It's going to be the neatest thing. And then we've got right down the street at Marketplace at Steamtown, the pop-up market series begins. Music, food, clothing, everything else that the Marketplace of Steamtown has. And they're kicking off what John Basilica hopes will become, and it's up to us to make sure we support it, our own little Reading Terminal Market, as you see in Philadelphia. So 20 unique local vendors, and then the regular vendors will be there on that second floor. So a big day tomorrow. Now today, and the Marketplace at Steamtown and John Bass League are sponsoring it. There's a couple of veterans. Well, three, not a couple. And area natives. And my friend Joan Hudawanitz has implored me to do something for them, and so we've got those three, and we're hoping Joan's calling in to talk a little bit about them. She's a veteran, and she helps with veterans who pass away that maybe I might otherwise miss because I don't see the obit or whatever. So we're excited to have her part of the Veterans Tribute today, and these three men with all they accomplished. He said, Bob, I believe you're committed. Unfortunately, you're not committed to hitting the post and getting to the breaks and news on time. I am not. And that's why I wanted, one of the reasons I wanted this time slot. This is a little bit of inside baseball, but radio-wise. And I don't have to do anything except either take at 50 or 55 past the hour the Bloomberg Money Minute. Beyond that, within reason, I can do sort of whatever I want. Got to run the commercials. We always got to hear from our great sponsors. But yeah, thank you for that. But hey, you guys, you're on the internet, okay? And I'm just going to use LinkedIn for an example. Do you ever notice that you can't make them go away? Like, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know how or why I got on their notification list. So it's like, well, if somebody on LinkedIn that I know simply comments on something someone else said, then it pops up and it's in my way. And I've got a very busy email because of all the things you guys do, and the things you send are important. By the way, if you're hearing this, I'm not going to be on the air next week. I won't be able to see the emails. I'm not taking my laptop with me. So if you could hold off on the emails you send me, the great emails you send me, that would be helpful. It'll be less I have to cull through when I get back. But that's just a suggestion. So, listen, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, the eponymous program. We're going to roll on, but we've got to hear from our great sponsors, a little history, a little music, and then you and I, 570-883-0098. Elvis Presley. Think of this. This date, 1960. This was his 14th number one hit in just 4 years. It's now or never. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And 1483, the Sistine Chapel. I don't know what was wrong with that woman's voice, but deadly serious. The Sistine Chapel. I have a puzzle. I like to do puzzles. And I seldom take the time for it anymore, and I've got to find a table or whatever that they can stay there, because some of them take months to put together. And I have one of the ones I have is a Sistine Chapel. And I set up in my house before I went to prison, and I had to take it apart. It's one of the things I had to do when I knew I was going away. I had to take it apart. I don't know if there's lost pieces, but I've got to get back at this Sistine Chapel puzzle. If you think of it, just look at the internet. This is where they pick the new pope and all. It is beyond magnificent. But it was consecrated in 1483. You want to talk about history? My goshes. Anyway, somebody says, Bob, now that you asked not to send emails, the trolls will try to fill up your inbox with useless and incorrect information just to annoy you, ALTS. I can't be annoyed by that kind of thing, but we'll see. Doug wishing me fun on my vacation. It is, though, like it's like Kramer. He said he was told Jerry one time he was going on vacation, and Jerry says, from what? Last night, actually late afternoon, my friends Frankie and Dante had me down to Fox Hill. And not to golf, thank God. I'm just to hang around, have a couple of cigars, that kind of thing. And man, did we have a blast. We really did. Two of our big Chevy dealers were there conversing, Dean Hesser and Kenny Wallace. This is a great gang. And I come up and I sit next to, as soon as I walk in, Jim Fisher. And he's a detective in the Wilkes-Barre Police, where my son serves. And we had just great conversations. It was really neat. And his brother was there, Brian, and then a gang, our candidate for judge, future Judge Buffalino, was there. It was just a great gang, a lot of fun. And car talk that I couldn't understand, but it was really pleasurable. So a great night at down there. But it's like, so I'm going to Elmhurst today, Country Club. The Dempsey gang plays up there every Friday, and I got a 12:40 tee time, so I've got to rush up there after this, which I generally don't like to do, but it's such a great gang, I got to do it. Let's hope there's no thunderstorms or anything like that. Joe from Trips Park says, LTS, Bob, during your vacation, our staff wants me to get extra coffee, being as you won't be here to get us all fired up in the morning. Well, listen, I got to tell you, Rob Neihart, I don't know which day he's coming in, but they're hoping to get him at least one day next week. And the only time I get to listen to the show, because I got to critically listen every once in a while, you get into bad habits. And I might be listening to part of the best ofs, but there's a lot of information and a lot of interviews. Now, Bulldog will pick it. Maybe I'll make some suggestions. But it's they're worth listening to, again, not because it's me, but because of some of the guests we have. And some of the information that, maybe you didn't catch it. Maybe you got interrupted. Maybe you had to do something. So I do recommend that you listen in. And then there's Veterans Tribute you might have missed. So good stuff either way. And it's I'll miss all of you, I promise, I do. But Cutie's got to. You see, Cutie needs the vacation. She actually works. I mean, yeah. So I'm along for the ride on the vacation bit because Chauncey's getting to stay at the house. Somebody's staying at the house with the dog and the cat, Ponth. Ponth needs very little care, but, and he's fine without us. But yet, so it was good. We're ready to go. We're going to have fun and all that. But I'm telling you, I'm going to miss you guys. I try, and I mean that. I'm not just saying it. And I hope you'll miss me. I do. But I'll be there. I'll be here in recorded fashion either way. Okay? Hey, Trump in Alaska. Really interesting. Oh, my mother's reminding me. She did not realize today is the Assumption of Mary, Holy Day of Obligation. And here we are reminding her of it. Now, I got to be honest, I didn't notice it. I do the Bishop Robert Barron sends these, the daily Catholic readings for the Mass out, and I read them, and I did not see that it was the Assumption until I heard it here. So, yeah, Holy Day of Obligation. All right, we need to take a break because we want to hear from our great sponsors, and then we'll be back with our Veterans Tribute of Colonel James J. Coolican. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour. this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga, who reminds you that tomorrow, August 16th, all day they'll be having a pop-up market series beginning. We'll talk about that after this. Colonel James Coolican. He died last year, October 25th, 2024. Highly decorated United States Marine Corps veteran. Passed away at age 85. He leaves behind a legacy of valor, leadership, and unwavering dedication to his country and to his family. He was born in Carbondale, and he grew up there with a profound sense of duty and patriotism, leading him to a distinguished career in the Marine Corps, followed by a second career as superintendent of schools in Gig Harbor, Washington. Jim is survived by his loving family, including his wife, Jean, with whom he'd recently celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. His 2 children, his 4 grandchildren also survive him. Jim Coolican earned a scholarship to play basketball at St. Joseph's University, Philadelphia, under legendary head coach Jack Ramsey. While at St. Joe's, he studied theology and psychology. He was somewhat devastated that his son and his granddaughter chose to go to crosstown rival Villanova. Colonel Coolican's illustrious career spanned over 30 years in the Marine Corps, during which he excelled in various critical roles. His service history is marked by extraordinary acts of bravery and heroism, epitomized by his receipt of the Navy Cross, which is the second highest military decoration for valor in the United States. The president, in awarding him this Navy Cross, said that in the Hue Phua Tien Province, Republic of Vietnam, 31st of January, 1968, in the early morning hours without warning, the enemy assaulted simultaneously all positions of the Hue Military Assistance Command, Vietnam compound perimeter, with 122 millimeter and B-40 rockets, mortar, and intense small arms fire. Then Captain Coolican, with disregard for his own safety, dashed 150 meters through the hail of exploding enemy rounds to a guard post where he moved 4 wounded personnel to the dispensary. Within a short time, the enemy scored a direct hit on a 20-foot tower, mortally wounding the guard. Quickly, Captain Coolican ran to the tower under heavy enemy fire, recovered the wounded man, and carried him down the ladder to an awaiting stretcher. He wasn't done yet. After this, he returned to the tower guard post, where he silenced the enemy with a fierce blanket of M79 grenade fire. At daybreak, because of the critical condition of 2 wounded men, an emergency air medical rescue was planned from a landing zone approximately 400 meters from the MAC-V compound. Captain Coolican organized a small force, and after 2 futile attempts at evacuation of the wounded, he finally succeeded on the 3rd trip. This is hellfire breaking out all around him. He carried critically needed ammunition back to the compound. When a relief force coming to the aid of the compound was ambushed and sustained numerous casualties, Captain Coolican assembled his men. He sped to the scene of intense fighting. Under unrelenting hostile fire, he skillfully directed the collection of the injured and evacuation to the Hue MAC-V dispensary. Throughout the Battle of Hue, he skillfully effected medical evacuations under enemy observation and fire. He succeeded in saving many lives with no loss to his own force. Captain Coolican's conspicuous gallantry, professionalism, and extraordinary devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. He was known for his warmth outside of fighting fiercely for his country and his fellow Marines and soldiers. He was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. No greater honor than that. And Joan Hodowanitz is with us. She's a veteran herself. We saluted her one day, and she helps us with the salutes every day. Joan, welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How are you doing, you fallen away Catholic?
I see. I used to go. Joan is a regular communicant at the 6:30 Mass at the Cathedral. And I used to go there a couple times a week. But now when my show moved to 9 a.m., Joan, I that's my key preparation time.
Well, I'll have to talk to your leadership over there. We'll put you back at noon.
No, I begged them for this time slot.
Yeah, well, first of all, I've got to thank you for doing this recognition of veterans every day. This is so important. We're seeing the last of the World War II vets going.
Yeah.
We're now seeing Korean War vets and Vietnamese. But I got to tell you, I'll put northeastern Pennsylvania against any other area of the country for patriotism.
Amen.
We have offered more citizens in the service of our country, be it in the military or as first responders, than any other area of the country. So the Hamptons can show off with their money, and all the other areas of the country can brag about what they have, but we have the Patriots.
Amen. Hey, so Joan Hodowanitz, she sent me this obituary for Colonel Coolican.
Yep.
And it said, and she put a note in there. She said, if you don't devote a day to Carbondale native Colonel James Coolican, you are a cad.
Yeah, you would have been. I kept waiting because he passed away several months ago.
I told you I'm afraid of you. There was no doubt I was going to do it once you insisted.
Yeah,
but then I read the obituary and the story I just told. It's really amazing.
I tell you, they don't give the Navy Cross out like candy.
Yeah.
What he did on that day, God bless the man. How many lives did he save? God only knows.
I mean, when your position gets overrun, anything could happen, and he prevented that. And he's going back, getting wounded, putting his life on the line for hours and hours and hours in the midst of incredible gunfire. I mean, this is a movie. What Colonel Coolican did.
That's what the Marines do.
Yeah.
They do. Like, when we recognized Command Sergeant Major Ruddy several months ago, I got to tell you, do you know the rank of Command Sergeant Major is the enlisted equivalent of a 4-star general?
Wow.
It is the very top of the heap. And believe me, a very small percentage of people will make that rank, smaller than the number that will make 4 stars.
Yeah. It is amazing. And I'm looking forward to honoring the Ruddy brothers in the next 2 hours with you. But today, this hour, Colonel James Coolican.
Yeah. Carbondale, one of the poorest cities in northeastern Pennsylvania. This is the kind of quality people we have.
Amen. It's so true. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. And that's why I always thank John Basiliga, for sponsoring this to keep it going. It's a big deal. It's our patriotic duty to honor all of you veterans, peacetime, wartime, heroics, non-heroic, all of them.
Well, most families do not mention the achievements that their men have, given to the country in their obituaries. So when you get a chance to see someone, having it in the paper, you just got to say something. Yeah. I mean, you can't let these people pass into the next life without due recognition. And if you think it's easy to do what Coolican did under fire, you're smoking dope.
And Joan, the good thing about these veterans tributes that John Basiliga brings us each day, they're recorded. They are in the cloud forever for anyone to hear. And so
that's important.
These guys will not be forgotten. We've got to make sure.
That's very important because, like, it's not that Coolican probably, he wasn't fearless. What he did was he mastered the fear he must have felt because his men were more important than that. And, that's why you hear terms like band of brothers.
Yeah.
Is a bond. These people take care of each other to the point of death.
Amazing. Colonel James Coolican, Joan Hodawanis, thank you. We'll talk to you next hour.
I'll be on the phone.
I look forward to it, my dear.
Okay.
She's a veteran's veteran. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Murph tells us this date, 1964, the Four Tops debuted on the charts with that was their first hit. Baby, I Need Your Lovin'. What a way to start, huh? Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. A number of you texting in about Colonel James Coolican. Cabinet guy says, you had me stop in my tracks to listen about that true hero. Amazing Marine. Yeah. Isn't that something? Somebody else texts in, Bob, when you play that preface to the Veterans Tribute, that's the Sam Elliott reading that letter, how true that those men gave their lives never to see their families again. And then the listener continues, well, it irks me to think illegals come to this country and expect us to open our arms when some of them bring a criminal agenda here and many other hardships for us. On another note, Rodney texts in, morning, Bob, LTS, I'm glad it's Trump meeting with Putin. If it was Biden, he'd probably give back Alaska. You remember the embarrassment when we met that idiot Blinken, the Secretary of State, and the Chinese made a fool out of him in that first semi-summit? I mean, it would have been worse if Biden was there. Oh, God, what a difference. It is so night and day. And think of Kamala Harris cackling. These are completely unserious people on the left. Gavin Newsom, AOC, what are you kidding me? It's actually insane to think about any Democrat meeting with Putin. Think of all of them. Chuck Schumer, holy cow. Hakeem Jeffries, what a disgrace that party has become. And by the way, that is not good for the country. The couple of years I was a registered Democrat, man. Yeah, I think of the Hubert Humphreys and the Scoop Jacksons, and man, there were good Democrats. Bob Casey Sr. You'd put them up against anybody. Today's crop, it's a disgrace. Anyway, well, what isn't a disgrace are our veterans that John Basiliga brings to us. It's good stuff. But Trump's summit, and you know what it does? One of the things I'm enjoying the most about it is that it highlights the Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. Our own Dunleavy, Governor Dunleavy from Scranton, who's doing a great job there. Amazing job. And I just love watching him handle himself. And this could be the first of many. Mayor Jamie's reminding you, yes, it's a holy day of obligation. And he's wishing me a happy vacation. Of course I'm going to have happy. I mean, anything could happen, obviously, but I think, again, going on vacation from what? This is for cutie. It doesn't. I don't need a vacation from this. In fact, if I can carry the equipment, I'd do it from wherever I was. Anyway, Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for August 15th. She says, don't come to prayer looking for extraordinary experiences. Come to visit your great friend Jesus, always present and waiting for you in the tabernacle. This is the friendship that strengthens us to fulfill our day-to-day ordinary duties with extraordinary love and devotion. An approach to prayer today. Great. Thank you, Mary Regina. Yeah, Mother Teresa, how amazing. Hey, let's go to Joe from Berwick. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Bob. Hey, just real quick, I heard what you're talking about this morning and a couple of thoughts. I recently met two different Marines. Now, I don't have anything on their background, just, face to face, met them, casual conversation. One was at Da Nang, and another guy was telling me about what it was like fighting in rice paddies all the time. And, your guest said about how we have these people among us, and one day they're going to be gone. And that's kind of a sobering thought.
Yep.
Because I remember all World War II vets, and they're gone. But on top of that, it's not ever to take away the fact that we have days to honor our dead and that our veterans did some incredibly brave and tremendous feats. But I do want to say, Bob, as someone who only served in peacetime, and I don't really have much to my name as far as my veteran status goes, every one of our veterans, the thousands and thousands of unnamed veterans, whoever stood on a tarmac or a bus station and left their loved ones,
Yep.
and they never knew if they would see them again. That to me is a really
Joe. Not only do you provide me veterans that I would not otherwise be aware of, but you provided me, and I didn't read it this hour because Coolican was in combat, but what that Bloomsburg Legion, I don't know if you call it a plaque, that stone. What is a veteran?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and I'd say it to you too, and I'll reread it. A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who, at one point in his or her life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his or her life. And that's why we honor all, not just combat, not just the blatantly heroic people, But and thank you for helping me with that always.
Oh yeah, and then thank you for what you do too, Bob.
All right, Joe. Always a pleasure.
All
thank
right,
you.
Have a good one. All right.
My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10 o'clock and change, almost 10:01. But and I got to remind you, hot cars, cool watches tomorrow at Picardo's, Jefferson Avenue and Spruce Street, Scranton, Caddy Corner from the Radisson. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Bicardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:11:58 in the great Northeast this beautiful Friday, August 15, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, who's starting up the pop-up market series at the marketplace at Steamtown tomorrow. We honor the brave who made us and kept us free. People like Colonel James Coolican, born Carbondale, Jerome Francis Ruddy, Clark Summit, and Major Francis Ruddy, also originally from Scranton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense is to such a degree that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for you among the insane jabberwockies out there. Carrying on and carrying on. Well, you heard that grainy audio from Emperor Hirohito because this is the anniversary in a pre-recorded radio address. This date, 1945. Japan's Emperor Hirohito announced that his country had accepted the terms of surrender, meaning unconditional surrender, and it ended World War II. Well, who better to turn to than our man, Rick Bigelow, to get a little more depth on this incredibly important day. Rick, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. Welcome back, as always.
Glad to be with you, Bob.
All right, so set the scene. And by the way, we've got to do this again for the Battleship Missouri in September, but tell us about this.
Okay, well, backing up a little bit, the atomic bombs were dropped on August 6th and 9th, and then on August 9th was the date that the Soviets advanced into Korea, Manchuria, and northern China. So at that point in time, after the first atomic bomb dropped, the Japanese Imperial Council voted unanimously to continue the war. After the second atomic bomb dropped, it was split 50-50 on continuing the war. And when they got news that the Soviets had invaded, that's when Hirohito decided that they would go ahead and surrender and accept all the unconditional surrender tenets of the Potsdam Declaration, which had been made in July of 1945. So at that point in time, there were still millions of Japanese troops in China and throughout the Pacific and in the Philippines, and there were 1 million Filipinos who were killed during the Japanese occupation and during the war, and there were still something like 500,000 or 600,000 Japanese troops still in the Philippines at the time. So he decided to surrender. The word got out to the Japanese military that the emperor was going to surrender. And I think we in the West can't understand how devastating and unacceptable that was to many people in Japan, because in the 2,000 years plus history of Japan, they'd never surrendered. They'd never been conquered. And to surrender meant not only did you bring shame upon yourself, but you brought shame upon your family and your ancestors. So it was a big deal to surrender, and many of the Japanese military did not accept it well. So at one point in time, the emperor's staff made 2 phonographic records of Hirohito's surrender speech. One was to be played in the palace in the media room and carried nationwide on radio stations. A second copy was kept in a secure vault in the palace in the event that someone tried to stop the Japanese government from airing the recording. When word of the emperor's Yep, go ahead.
No, Uh, that's fascinating. They knew what they were up against, man.
It, they even though the emperor's word was, like the word of God,
He was a
they
deity.
thought
He's
that there was still
partly considered
yeah,
a deity. Yeah.
absolutely. Not only was he an emperor, he was a deity, and but they knew that it would be very difficult for some in the Japanese military to accept. So certain army leaders in Japan decided to keep the emperor from making the surrender speech to the nation. There was an army major named Kenji Hatanaka who led an attempted coup. His goal was to place Hirohito under house arrest and keep him from making the surrender speech. They tried to convince the commanding general of the Japanese emperor's imperial guard to join them, but this general refused, and so they executed him. They tried to get other army units to join them, but they were unsuccessful in doing that. They were successfully beaten back by members of the Imperial Guard. And as the coup failed, Hatanaka killed himself, as did three other coup leaders. Several members of Hirohito's staff, including the commanding general of the Imperial Guards, were killed in that attempted coup.
Wow.
So Hirohito actually goes
was the American public made aware of all of this at the time?
I don't know if they were made aware of it or not. Because of the tenuous situation in the Far East, with China about to go communist and the Soviets on the border of Japan, we kept a lot of really nasty information from the American public because we wanted to have Japan, a friendly Japan, as a bulwark against communism in the Far East at the time. So a lot of this stuff did not come out initially. So as the emperor, as his speech was played, he spoke in a sophisticated, almost imperial dialect that was unknown to large swaths of the Japanese public. They found it difficult to understand what he was saying.
How about that?
In fact, many Japanese thought he was announcing that Japan had won the war, and it wasn't until he got to the end of the speech and said that that Japan was surrendering that they understood it. So I thought it was important to go over a few of the highlights from his surrender speech. Like you said, it was only 4.5 minutes long, but here's some of the key phrases.
Give me give me this opportunity to hear from our great sponsors, and then we'll be back to review those. Rick Bigelow is our guest. The surrender of Japan. This date, 1945, is our subject. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Dean Martin. This date, 1964, Dino had the #1 hit. Everybody loves somebody. That means they had their head on straight back in 1964. Bob Cordaro back with you. By the way, I forgot to mention this. My man Fred Duckman, we're not going to play it today, but he reminded me when we played the Elvis Presley It's Now or Never, it was loosely based on and the same tune of O Sole Mio. O Sole Mio. You know that deal? Isn't that something? I wanted to bring that up because I can't play Sole Mio today. I don't think we can fit it in. But in any event, we're talking to Rick Bigelow. He is our house historian on so many issues. But today is the anniversary, back in 1945, of the surrender of the Japanese. And you were about to get into some of the points from Hirohito's 4.5-minute speech. Fire away, Rick.
Okay, so here's one of the phrases. It says, Hirohito says, the war situation has developed not necessarily to Japan's advantage. That's somewhat understated. We have decided to effect the settlement of the present situation by resorting to an extraordinary measure. Okay. We have ordered our government to communicate to the governments of the United States, Great Britain, China, and the Soviet Union that our empire accepts the provisions of their joint declaration. And what they're referring to there is the Potsdam Declaration that required unconditional surrender of Japan. So this next one is good. It says, the enemy has begun to employ a new and most cruel bomb, the power of which to do damage is indeed incalculable, taking the toll of many innocent lives. So it's
I'd like to see Hirohito say incalculable.
He said it in Japanese, so it's probably roll off his tongue easier.
Yeah.
But so it was our fault that we dropped that bomb. We cannot but express the deepest sense of regret to our allied nations of East Asia who have consistently cooperated with the empire toward the emancipation of East Asia. And of course, allied nations is ridiculous. They were conquered nations, and they were under the boot and under the thumb of the Japanese government. And they basically did emancipate East Asia from the Europeans, but they replaced it with being essentially colonies of Japan at the time.
Yeah.
So it goes on, it says, it is according to the dictates of time and fate that we have resolved to pave the way for a grand peace for all generations to come by enduring the unendurable and suffering what is insufferable. And at that point, he's relating to the surrender of Japan. My next comment is, this speech has been described as a mastery of perfidy, meaning deceit, by many World War II historians. So
and how about and how say you? You agree, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's
perfidy is one of my favorite words. I'm happy you brought that up.
Good. A lot of historians and say that the Japanese really tried to insulate Hirohito from the war crimes trials that happened in Asia. And there wasn't just one in Tokyo, and that was the major one, but there were 50 different war crimes trials throughout East Asia, in the Philippines and Indochina and in the Dutch East Indies and several of the islands that they conquered. And there were plenty of people who were super aggravated at the Japanese and Hirohito in particular. The interesting thing is,
how do you try God for war crimes, or a God for war crimes, without repercussions in the nation you're trying to govern?
I think that's exactly right, and I think you got to give MacArthur a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
He understood that if they tried Hirohito and imposed any kind of sentence on him, that there would be open insurrection in Japan.
Final analysis of Hirohito. Was he evil? Was he an evil person?
I think he believed in Japan, the supremacy of the Japanese people. I believe that he was very much involved with the military decisions. And of course, he was a biologist. And so I think he knew all about what was going on at Unit 731, the bioweapons programs, and all that sort of stuff. And there's no doubt that towards the end of the war, they were intending to use bioweapons against the Americans and British who were going to be attacking the Japanese mainland. And also, they had bioweapons scheduled to go onto submarines, and they were going to put plague into the water supply in San Diego and Los Angeles, and they were going to use bioweapons in San Diego. So
I guess enough said. He was evil. He was evil. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And in the context of how the Japanese considered their government and their emperor, I think he was probably making rational decisions in that context. But compared to the rest of the world, especially the Western world, he was evil, without a doubt.
And Rick Bigelow, you look back at our enemies in World War II, and just take three. One was our ally, initially our enemy, then our ally. You look back at Stalin and Hitler and Hirohito, and there was complete disregard for life, and in fact, an active effort to destroy life on many fronts. People think that this mentality has gone from this planet and we've advanced beyond it. They've got to realize it hasn't.
Well, I think that's absolutely true, and all you have to do is look at the carnage that Putin unleashed in Ukraine.
Yep.
I don't know how many Russian soldiers have died in Ukraine. There are estimates all over the place. But he's kind of running out of soldiers, and he's importing North Korean soldiers to do some of the fighting for him. So in much of the rest of the world, human life is cheap, without a doubt.
Yeah. And evil is evil. Rick Bigelow, thank you so much for putting an accent on this important anniversary. And let's hope, if you have an opportunity to do it on the formal surrender day in September, hopefully you have the time to come back and talk to us about that.
Yep, I'll mark it down right now. We'll make it happen.
All right, my friend. Rick Bigelow, the surrender of the Empire of Japan. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man and true patriot, John Basiliga, who reminds you that the Pop-Up Market Series starts tomorrow, bringing new energy to the Scranton Public Market at the Marketplace at Steamtown. Music, 20 vendors, in addition to their already great roster of vendors, and the entire Marketplace at Steamtown gang. Great day tomorrow. The Ruddys. Jerome Francis Ruddy. He died at age 88, July 30th this year. He was from Clark Summit, formerly of the High Works section in North Scranton. He died at the Geno Murley Center, the great Geno Murley Center in Scranton. He's survived by his wife of 67 years, Judith Payne Ruddy. Born in Scranton, son of the late Francis and Belinda Mills Ruddy. He's a graduate of Holy Rosary High School, class of 1955. In August of 55, Jerry joined the United States Army, proudly serving his country in Germany from 55 to 57. He worked at Fitchburg Coated Products for 30 years. Upon retirement, Jerry fulfilled a lifelong dream of becoming a cowboy. He moved his family to Lennoxville and enjoyed riding horses in his country lifestyle. When Jerry and his lovely wife, Judy, moved back to Clark Summit in 2005, he traded in his saddle for golf clubs. He's survived by his son, 2 daughters, 7 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. Preceded in death, tragically, by his son, Jerome Ruddy, his grandson, Jacob Ruddy, as well as his brother, who we salute also this hour, Command Sergeant Major Francis Joseph Ruddy. And we turn to him now. Mary Kay Ruddy wrote into the Scranton Times, as the 60th anniversary of the JFK assassination approaches, Scranton native Command Sergeant Major Francis Ruddy goes unnoticed. My uncle was a member of the 1st Special Forces Green Beret who were in the honor guard at John F. Kennedy's funeral. He placed his beret on Kennedy's grave during the ceremony and risked court-martial for this. But his close work and friendship with Kennedy moved him to the act of absolute respect. Command Sergeant Major Francis Ruddy was a master paratrooper, took part in many operations, including the covert rescue of POWs in Vietnam. He trained the Hill people of Vietnam while stationed in the Philippines. He also escorted Ethel Kennedy at Robert Kennedy's funeral. His military career took him to World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, where he was directly involved in classified and now unclassified operations. Amazing. Francis Ruddy, the Ruddy Boys. Joan Hadawanis joins us again to expand on what we are talking about. Well, both Ruddy brothers served.
Well, that's the tradition of families back in the 40s and 50s. They all served. Unless they were 4F, they would all serve in one of the armed services.
One of the highlights of that was contained in writings about him, while training a Vietnamese hill soldier during a training jump from a plane, the trainee's canopy was caught up, and he was banging off the side of the plane. 2 witnesses in the plane watched my uncle single-handedly pull the trainer back into the plane.
Yep.
Isn't it extraordinary, though? 2 people from High Works, North Scranton, with such incredible bravery.
Yeah, but again, I think that we underestimate the caliber of the people in this neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
especially going back to the Depression and World War II. These people, they weren't wussies, excuse my French. They were men who valued freedom and family and faith, and they were willing to put it all on the line.
His relationship with the Kennedys was deep.
Oh, yeah, well, he was assigned to the White House as a military advisor to Kennedy's cabinet, and he met the family, and they bonded very quickly.
Now, there's much to be made because he was overcome by emotion at JFK's funeral.
Yes.
And he placed his Green Beret cap on the casket. And that's for someone not as heroic, it would be a death sentence in the military.
Yeah, well, as his niece said, technically it's a court-martial offense to be out of uniform at a ceremony of that caliber. But it became an annual tradition that was carried on until Command Sergeant Major Ruddy died in the 80s. And then it was reestablished in 2011 in his honor. And that beret that he placed next to the torch is now in the Kennedy Memorial Library in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is, But, Special Forces guys, like the Marines, they're a very close-knit band of brothers. And they don't have to toot their horns, If you make it in those ranks, you've paid your dues.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. Joan, you'll join us the next hour to talk a little bit more about the Ruddies. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, well, I'll see you at 11:35.
All right, Joan Hadawanitz, and our great tribute to the Ruddy brothers for this day. Brought to you by John Basiliga in the marketplace at Steamtown. Hey, tomorrow is a big day in downtown Scranton. You've got the pop-up market series beginning at the marketplace at Steamtown on Lackawanna Avenue. And you go around the corner to Jefferson Avenue and Spruce Street, and you've got the beautiful Bicardo's store. And they've got this incredible hot cars, cool watches from 10 to 5 tomorrow. Alex Bicardo's with us to talk a little bit more about it. Alex, how did anybody, who came up with this idea? I think it is so novel.
Well, as you know, we're all a bunch of motorheads here. And a couple of years ago, summertime's a little slower for everybody. And we figured, what could we do to pass some time? And we all got together and said, why not get a couple of guys together, bring their cars out, come relax outside, have something to eat, and just talk. And here we are almost 16 years later.
Fantastic. Hey, so all right, I want to come. I want to see the watches and I want to see the cars, which is, I think, a tremendous combination. What do I do?
It's a different type of car show. You just show up.
Yeah.
There's no invite. Nobody has to be worried, I didn't get. It's open to the public. Whether you like cars, you just want to walk around, enjoy the day, stop by. It's going to be incredible. It takes a lot to put this together.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fortunate there's a group of guys out there that are wonderful, loyal guys that bring out these cars that, you don't see around a lot. And just to help me out without the day, so we bring in some really special watches. We have some food, refreshments, and you just enjoy the day.
I think it's, and by the way, a lot of people have not seen the Bicardo store since it's been remodeled and remade. It is gorgeous.
Yes, that's another thing for this year. I want everybody, maybe not my customers, just people who've never been in here, come in and see what we did. It's very inviting. It's very, very warm atmosphere. It's our store's open to relax. There's couches. There's a bar, as you know, and you just come in and relax.
Well, don't say it that way. Alex, don't say it that way. I've never gotten drunk in that bar.
Not yet, no.
as you know.
We've had some long nights here on the holidays.
I'll tell you, this is a great event. Hot cars, cool watches tomorrow at Bicardo's, Jefferson Avenue, Spruce Street, It is really going to be cool. I'm excited for it. I really am.
Weather's
Alex.
supposed to be perfect. Like I said, bring out your family. Just get out of the house, come out and enjoy it. It's worth stopping by. I promise you, it'll be worth to stop by.
And all the Picardo boys will be there. That's even more special.
All the old timers will be here. Butchie, Jimmy, everybody.
And gals.
Absolutely.
That's right. Love it. Thank you, Alex Picardo. We appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Hope to see everyone here. Thank you.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Big day tomorrow in the city of Scranton. We'll be back. Murph tells us the Drifters, this date, 1964. They moved up to number 4 with their hit Under the Boardwalk. What a great song, huh? Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Hey, Bob, it's Ed. Going about my work day and got the chance to stop by Hopkins Farm Stand in Falls. They have a sign out saying veteran owned and operated. Picked up some really good vegetables and back at my work day. Quick stop, well worth it. Proud to support veteran owned and loved it. That's great. And that is our buddy. That's our buddy. That's the Mulberry Bush guys. That's where they moved to. If you noticed, they were on Mulberry Street in Scranton forever, and they're now at a Hopkins Farm. So that's what you saw. Oh, great Americans. Great Americans. Love to hear that. So there's an event taking place August 22nd, August 23rd. And I won't be here next week. So I told Chris Taylor, I said, we've got to hear from you tomorrow again to remind people. And dutifully, he has done so. Chris, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Bob?
Great. All right. Give us the who, what, where, when, and why for next Friday and Saturday.
Well, next Friday and Saturday, there'll be the Coal Region Music Festival, which is for the Wounded Warriors Foundation and the veterans. It will be at Schuylkill County Fairgrounds on Friday from 4 to 10 p.m. and then Saturday from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. And everything benefits the Wounded Warriors, so it's something we're real proud of. We've got a couple veterans in our families and stuff, so we're really looking forward to it and proud that we were asked to play at it.
One of the highlights of this to me is that there are going to be a number of veterans who were wounded in combat.
Absolutely.
There. Tell us about that.
Yes, that's true. There's going to be a bunch of wounded veterans there. So, you're going to be able to go up, greet, talk to them, maybe get their stories. Of course, thank them for what they've done and the sacrifices they made. And that's what we think about when we get invited to play this. We're going to go up there and do our best to make everybody proud and to show our support to the veterans and even.
Oh, we skipped out there. Intoxication is the band. And, Chris, we may have lost you. But next Friday, next Saturday at the Schuylkill Fairgrounds. This is a great event. It really is. We must have lost the call. But thank you, Chris Taylor, for checking in with us and reminding us about that event next weekend. Good stuff. Good stuff. Bob, LTS. So these companies saying they have to raise prices because of tariffs have TDS because they never mention increases in prices due to Biden's policies and increase in energy and gas causing retail prices. Slick says. Slick, our minds were thinking alike. As I was listening to that, there's a lot of companies looking for excuses. And Bloomberg is as bad as ABC. I mean, don't think just because it's about business. Don't forget who the boss is. He ran for the Democrat nomination for president. And he's a lefty. He was the mayor of New York. He was a good mayor, by the way. But he also let a lot of left-wing lunacy take over New York and really ingrain itself in that city, which is one of the reasons they've got as many problems as they do. So, yeah, don't trust Bloomberg to give you true and accurate news. It ain't happening. They've got an agenda, and it's an anti-Trump agenda, I promise you. And the companies, you almost don't blame them for this. Well, they're either using the tariffs as an excuse for reduced earnings. I mean, what? Okay, you get your diamonds from where? South Africa. High margin item. So, you know what I mean? It's all bullspit. It really is. And now the growing number of economists and all this. Now, let's be blunt. We had a producer price index yesterday that was, frightening is too strong of a word, but that was eye-catching. Normally, the producer price index, meaning the people who produce goods, that foresages retail inflation. That's what we experience. Producer price index is what businesses are experiencing. Now, that went up, and it's curious to see. But you got to remember, they were doing this and saying this before there were tariffs, when Trump just threatened them. All these companies were saying it. So, I mean, but yeah, you're right. It's one of those things. Bob, somebody texted in, hey, Bob, regarding the Sue, I think he's saying Sue Henry, the Sue Henry promo where she says you want people to not feel safe. And they says, as a concealed carry holder, I feel safe wherever I go. I guess you do. I guess you do. And by the way, I heard Brian Hughes on the news. I don't know why, because there's not a nicer, more dedicated guy and not a greater couple on the planet than our own Congressman Rob Bresnahan, who's getting married tomorrow. And it's like you've got some really sick haters out there and they're leaving threats for Rob and Chelsea. I mean, that's uncalled for. I hope they catch who it is. And I hope they are punished severely. Even if they're just having fun or blowing off steam. That's sick. That's ill. Great weekend this weekend coming up. But I look at my Bacardo watch and it says, it's not a Breitling watch. They have those. It's not an Oris watch. They have those. It's not a Longines watch. They have those. It's not a Michelle watch. It's not a Shinola watch. It's not a Luminox, Swiss Army, or Seiko watch. They have all of those. It's a Bacardo watch, and it tells me it's 11 o'clock and change, and it reminds me that hot cars, cool watches, tomorrow at Bacardo's, one of the neat events. And good day in downtown Scranton. We'll take a break for the news. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. It is 11:09 and change on my Bacardo's Jeweler watch. This beautiful Friday, August 15, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga, who tells you the pop-up market series begins tomorrow at the marketplace at Steamtown. We honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Colonel James Coolican of Carbondale, Jerome Francis Ruddy, Clark Summit, Francis Ruddy, also of this area, the great High Works section of North Scranton. Brothers, we honor today, thanks to our friend Joan Hudawanitz. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, where common sense, that's our commitment. That's why we can provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a world where apparently stopping crime, reducing crime is offensive to the Democrat Party. Can we be any more insane? Do we really? What more do we need to say about them? Really? What more do we need? Chuck Schumer, a complete ass, the Senate Minority Leader. He invented a family. He invented a couple. He gave them profession, everything. He made it up. He cited them dozens of times, including in his own book, as though they were real. You cannot make up how mentally ill these senators and congresspeople and politicians in the Democratic Party are. You can't even make it up. You're going to tell me he understands truth, fact, and reality? I don't think so. Dear Lord. Hey, shout out. I always get a prayer every day sent from my friend Nicky DeSantos. And he sends me a prayer. And he also gave us, which we will finish the program with, one of my favorite little things, which is the policeman's prayer. And a lot of other information as well. But his cousin Letizia is in. And I met her. She's delightful. She's in from Italy. And so she said she's listened to the program. Letizia, welcome back to America. We love having you here. I hope I got to make sure I see you somehow. Got to visit with you guys. And then Brother Mike. Brother Mike is out delivering for DePietros now. And I mean at this moment, not just now. He's doing it for a while now. And so shout out to Mike and all of the people who were fortunate enough to have him deliver. I did a shout out to one of the other drivers from DePietros as well last week at Mike's behest. So might as well shout out to Mike. Cabinet guy texts in, how many politicians in D.C. actually walk the streets of D.C.? Well, the problem is they actually do. They've got to go to their house. Remember I played the tape of Joe Biden talking about not stopping at stoplights in Washington, D.C.? Like, don't stop. You're going to get carjacked. We got the intern killed. We got the Doge staffer killed or almost killed. It's a dangerous city. I lived there. Well, I lived in Virginia when I worked on Capitol Hill. I lived in Alexandria. But there were areas you just should not go. And at that time, I could care less. But now, I'd pay attention. And Chuck Schumer, back to the point, he's talking about how he walks around sometimes early in the morning. Well, number one, you're lying. Remember, this is the same fool who tried to pretend he was grilling, and the grill wasn't on, and the hamburger patties were frozen, and he'd already put the cheese on top. I mean, if they weren't phonies, they would be nothing. And they don't walk around in the areas we're talking about. We had some talking head on CNN, another angry black woman saying, well, I walk around Georgetown, everything's fine, and you don't see any cops there. Well, you've got the ability to walk around Georgetown. How about the real people who have to live in the worst crime-infested, gang-infested areas of D.C.? These people don't care. They don't give one whit about regular people and what they're dealing with in their lives. They're trying to make political points. I got a text. Bob, thank you for having Chris from the Intoxication on. Oh, it's a 2X? There's 2 X's in there. Intoxication on about the Wounded Warriors show. That's next Friday and Saturday. And this is our man, Tony. But no, Tony's out of the area, so he didn't have signal. But don't worry about it. We love it. We love Chris from Intoxication. And we love this event at the Schuylkill County Fairgrounds. Good stuff. Really important stuff. Mark from Hazel. Now, Mark, you're starting to try to tell jokes. So I've got to tell you, you're crossing the line. He says, it's a good thing I'm not on the air because when you say hot cars, cool watches at Picardo's, I would be saying hot cars, cool watches, and women who only notice me when I fix the printer. That's a complete non sequitur, Mark, so you are now suspended for jokes or puns. You're officially suspended. Okay. And now we have the man, the myth. No, he's real. Luciano from Luzerne County. Play that theme song, Bulldog. Do you have it? Do you have the theme song, Bulldog? There we go. Luciano, we gave him a theme song. And we figured with all the uproar about ICE and the ICE agents, he picked this song. Absolutely perfect. Luciano, how are you, my man?
Bob, thank you for taking my call. And what I say, my mother and father knows bits and pieces. And my mother and father, thank the good Lord, is still alive.
Nice.
I'll just say this, and it's absolutely true. And the good Lord isn't telling you the truth. And I've told you this, and I'm not proud of it. I lived in downtown Skid Row in Los Angeles about 21 years ago. I lived in downtown Skid Row. Listen to this, people out there. The police department in downtown Los Angeles, there's a department half a block away from Skid Row. Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles on Broadway Avenue, there's right now I think it's about 80,000 homeless people that are drug addicted, mentally ill, walking around with guns and knives. And Bob, I live there. I don't know how, and I believe Jesus Christ, I repeat, was protecting me and others. I lived in Skid Row where the police department right downtown in Los Angeles would not go through that area. It's about 20 blocks downtown Los Angeles. It's the largest homeless population in the nation.
Thanks to Gavin Newsom and stupid Mayor Bass. Unbelievable. I love L.A. Oh, what a disgrace.
And people would walk around shooting up. I lived there. I walk around with my sleeping bag. I'm not. Thank you. My parents are not listening to this conversation. I'm saying it out loud, and it's absolutely true. The police department would not walk through that area. It's a half a block away from downtown Los Angeles, and I lived there. And they were petrified because the homeless, mentally ill, schizophrenic, bipolar. They walk around with knives. Women would walk around with knives. I would see them having sex right in the street. I slept tell you, I'm not proud. I lived in that area. I'm not talking to you intellectually. This is my pet peeve about homeless people and mentally ill and Skid Row.
Luciano,
ahead,
one of the great aspects of what Trump is doing in Washington, D.C., is he's addressing the homeless problem. He's saying, and if you remember, I put it on my platform, we are going to get anyone living on the street, and we are going to take them off the street, and we're going to get them to a facility, a live-in facility, where they will get help and treatment. Or if they simply need transition, all the better. But we're going to get them off the street. No one should be there, period.
And one last comment. I have anxiety when I say this, but I'm absolutely telling you the truth. There are a lot of highly educated people that lived on Skid Row were shooting up.
Yep.
I met a dentist. I met an architect. I met nurses. I met people with master's degrees who were junkies, stone junkies living on the street on Skid Row in Los Angeles. These are not stupid, uneducated Americans. They were of all colors, races, creeds, and many of them, I quote, were educated. I met a psychiatrist she would shoot up heroin every day. She would sell her one time she was selling her blood. But Bob, you know this, and that's why I'm absolutely offended by what Joe Biden did with this mass illegal. We have homeless people, about 1.5 million homeless American citizens living on the street, and we have this uneducated freaking Democratic Party that allowed 10 to 20 million people in the past 5 years, and we have our American veterans. Oh yeah, one last veterans. I met veterans, Air Force veterans living on the street, stone junkies, Bob, shooting up heroin, coke, and fentanyl, brother, walking around like zombies. They need
help. They don't need to be left alone. They need help. It's our job. Every position the Democrat Party takes is insane. Luciano, thank you. Always a pleasure, my man.
Bob. Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, the eponymous program. We will roll on after this. The Animals. Murph says this date, 1964, they made an unprecedented move on the charts. And remember, people had to go to the record store, buy the record. They went from number 60 to number 10 with their hit House of the Rising Sun. Man, lots is happening in 64. Four Tops, Dean Martin, Drifters, The Animals. Amazing stuff. And, of course, before that, you heard that great history, and we're going to finish with a song from Woodstock today. 1969, the Woodstock Music and Art Fair opened in Bethel, New York. It's a great little concert venue now. I have not been, but I have heard from people that, I trust their opinions. It's supposed to be great. And I want to remember this. Everything's not political, I know. But everything is about leadership. Now, 1969, and Lyndon Baines Johnson was a dog. So let's talk about the culture of America at the time. It was a crazy year. I mean, 68, 69, assassinations, Martin Luther King, RFK. We had the Hong Kong flu, which was being brought back by our Vietnam soldiers. And 100,000 people died. Well, they didn't shut the whole country down like for the COVID flu. They did what was reasonable. Take care of the regular people. And they gathered by the hundreds of thousands. So imagine if the fools who were in charge of this country, the Bidens of this world, if they were in charge, then there'd be no Woodstock. No, you can't go there. You're going to give somebody the flu. And it was actually a fatal disease. Now, you could blame specific leaders and this and that. And Anthony Fauci is one of the biggest villains in all of this. A disgusting bureaucratic fool. And he's probably primarily to blame. That's why it's so great to have RFK at the helm at HHS, because we can't have that kind of idiocy in charge, a career bureaucrat. We can't have him in charge. Our reaction would be as ridiculous as the COVID reaction was. Unbelievable. And somebody pointing out Trump was president during COVID. Yeah, but the problem is, and that's one of his mistakes. He listened because they told him it was like the Black Plague. It was instant death. They lied to him. They came up with all the separation. They came up with the school closures. Who did that? The health establishment in Washington, D.C. Was he to not believe them? He came to believe they were phony, that they were lying. All this advice. Please, they took away freedoms on such an unprecedented level. We've never seen it before. And we pray to never see it again. All right. Well, let's hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We've got a veterans tribute to Francis Ruddy. Looking forward to discussion with Joan Hodowanitz and all of that after this. Our great Veterans Tribute this hour brought to you by a true patriot, our man John Basiliga, who reminds you the Pop-Up Market Series brings new energy to Scranton. Second floor of the marketplace at Steamtown tomorrow. 20 additional vendors in addition to the great vendors already there. He's looking to create, and it's up to us to make it happen, Reading Terminal Market, right in downtown Scranton. Our veteran this hour, Francis Ruddy. North Scranton. Just listen to his we talked about him a little last hour with Joan Hudawanitz. Combat and non-combat operations. Green Beret. 1943, European Theater of Operations in Naples, Foggia. That campaign lasted through 1944. World War II, again, 1944, European Theater of Operations, the Anzio campaign. Also 1944, the Rome-Arnoux campaign. Same year, Northern France campaign. 44 and 45, the Ardennes-Alsace campaign. 1945, the Central Europe campaign. No, he wasn't done serving this country yet. 1950, the Korean War, the UN defense. He was in the Incheon Landing, Operation Chromite. Also 1950, Korean War, UN offensive. The first UN counteroffensive in 1951. Oh, Francis Ruddy was not done yet. Vietnam War, 1965, the defense campaign. 1965, 1966, Vietnam War, the counteroffensive campaign. 1966, 1967, the Vietnam counteroffensive Phase 2 campaign. We lost him February 13th, 1985, after a long bout with cancer. He was only 61. He will be long remembered by his many friends and members of the special warfare community for the time he removed his Green Beret and placed it on the grave of President John F. Kennedy. 25 November 1963. Fran was, at the time, Command Sergeant Major of the Special Warfare Center. He'd served in the United States Army for over 30 years. Upon his retirement at Fort Hamilton, New York, where he was Command Sergeant Major of HQ EMTEC. His service included all those combat we talked about in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Joining us is our friend Joan Hudawanitz, a veteran's veteran herself. Joan, what the enormity of that career, and he wasn't the only one who served in those 3 wars.
Something, Bob.
Yes.
What were you doing when you were 19?
Honest to God, playing football and drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, this man joins the Army and goes quickly into combat for the next 2 years. I mean, do we have 19-year-olds like that today?
I hope to God we do. We need them, and I'm betting we do. By the way, but there's a cultural rot, Joan, that means there's not as many.
I don't know if there's a cultural rot, but I think, our sense of entitlement has gotten so out of hand that we're devolving into a nation of wussies.
Yeah. I know.
Not many people want to get down and dirty and put their lives at risk.
Well, one great thing, since Trump's election, and this will warm your heart on the second aspect of it, recruiting for our military across the board is at record levels, and women joining the military is at record levels.
Well, they need to go in with their eyes open because it's no tea party.
Yeah.
You will pay your dues.
Francis Ruddy, such a remarkable career, and you mentioned it last hour. The Green Beret hat that he placed on the JFK's grave at his burial is in the JFK library.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Yep. And, I often wonder, he died of cancer when he was 61. I wonder if he was exposed to Agent Orange. Because when he passed away in the 80s, no one recognized the link between Agent Orange and cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hey, by the way, our man John Perillo, who you hear on the program on Monday Musings, himself a military veteran, Naval Academy grad. He saw some combat, all of that. His son is in our military. Well, to my rhetorical question and your rhetorical question, do we have these Francis Ruddys? He says emphatically, we do. I've met them.
Yeah.
Very heartening.
Rob O'Donnell's kids are in the military.
Yep.
So we probably do, but they don't get the credit and the recognition they deserve.
Well, we'll do what we can do here. And Joan, you're a great help, not only for this specific tributes today, but all the time. The regular people that you send me their obituaries so I can acknowledge them. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for your service, not only in active military, but your service to your fellow veterans.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. And then, Joan, I'm scared of you, so just be nice to me, will you please?
Okay.
You can
surprise me one day. I'll give you communion.
She was military intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. And, there could be, if there's a bush next to me when I'm walking down the street, if I do the wrong thing, it could be her.
That's right.
All right, Joan. Thank you, dear.
Okay, take care.
All right. Hope to see you at Mass soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He says today a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, 87 degrees. Well, by the way, if it storms while I'm golfing, as long as we're going to the bar, I'm all in. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 69. Saturday, partly sunny with a chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, 87 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny with a chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, 87 degrees. That's the actual concert. The Beatles, this date, 1965, set an attendance record for a concert playing before 56,000 at Shea Stadium, New York. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were also in attendance. The Beatles opened with that song, Twist and Shout. I had on my MP3 player, which I've got to find, Beatles and a couple of songs from that concert. I mean, you get tears in your eyes how exciting it was. Amazing stuff. We're back. Greg from Shavertown tells me, man, you got to be more proud than anything. My daughter just signed up to go into the Marines. She's going to boot camp in January. Congratulations to your daughter. Wow. Just like John Perillo said and emphasized, we've got great Americans. We got great Americans as cops. We got great Americans serving as first responders. I really do have faith in the core of this generation. And really, there's two generations we're talking about. The people in their 30s and 40s, and then the people younger than that, teens and 20s. I don't know how much faith I have in my own generation because we're sort of washed up, you know? I don't know how long we can all go, right? It's hard to tell. But I'm happy to have that from John Perillo and now Greg from Shavertown. That's good stuff. And very, very heartening. There were a lot of people of Francis Ruddy's age and age group who did fight in World War II and then Korea and then Vietnam. It's a real deal, and it's staggering to think about. Survived it all in heavy combat settings. And then, of course, we honored his brother, Jerome Ruddy, another great High Works North Scranton guy who just passed away July 30th. And then another great that passed away October 25th last year, Colonel James Coolican, Navy Cross. You know, and it's important to note that the people who served that didn't fight, a lot of courage there too, and the backbone of this country. Well, my Picardo watch says 11:50. That's what he's saying. Spill the wine. Murph says this date, 1970, Eric Burden and War moved up to number 4 with their hit, Spill the Wine. Hey, shout out. A lot of people that do deliveries and that kind of thing, they are all, but many of them were fortunate enough to have listened and be part of this large dysfunctional family. Brother Mike points out other drivers for DePietros, Bill Don Vito, Mike Janetta, John Healy, Jerry Buddha Dempsey, Bill Hoffman. So they're all road warriors. We love it. We love it. And somebody mentioned Rob O'Donnell has 2, our afternoon guy. He's got 2 kids in the military. Tremendous. And I believe, man, I should know this. I believe both Naval Academy graduates. Maybe one West Point, one Naval Academy. But, I mean, his daughter and his son. And on that note, Rich from West Pittston says, Bob LTS, that would make a fantastic T-shirt. We've got great Americans. Enjoy your vacay. Thank you, Rich. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. By the way, Big Ed from Chickadee, he says, no disparaging remarks about us baby boomers. I know. I was only kidding, but you're right. We show up every day and give an honest day's work. Thank you, Big Ed. We need some defending. They criticize our generation. I'm the very end at age 64, the very end of the baby boom. But, yeah, I mean, that's how we grew up. Thank God. That's how we grew up. Like, show up. Just show up. My old friend Tim Early used to say that. You know what? He used to say, you know what? He says, I show up. The late, great Tim Early. But, all right, we've got a couple of things. We're going to finish. I don't know that I know the song, but on Murph tells us, August 15th, 1969, Bethel, New York was the place to be. Approximately 500,000 people descended on Max Yasgur's 600-acre farm as the iconic concert Woodstock began. Richie Havens kicked off the 3-day event with his hit, From the Prison. Somebody said, I thought I was born in 1964. Well, you may have been. I think 63 or 64 is the end of the baby boom, as they say. So as Richie Havens goes on, a final mention of our veterans that we saluted today. Colonel James J. Coolican, awarded the Naval Cross. He was from Carbondale. Jerome Francis Ruddy, Clark Summit. We lost him July 30th. And then the man we talked about last hour, Francis Ruddy, Green Beret, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all in combat. Special friend, special advisor to the Kennedys, and John F. Kennedy, our president. What an honor just to talk about them. What is a veteran? It's at the Bloomsburg Legion. A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserved, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor, and there are way too many people in this country today who no longer understand that fact. Well, some people who do are great police. Policeman's prayer. Lord, bless the ones who wear the badge, the ones who walk the beat. Protect and keep them safe while they are on the street. As they wait and as they watch, doing good for all. Guide their minds and give them strength for each and every call. Ready to put their lives on the line, give them courage each day. Let them know you're always there in each and every way. So bless the ones who wear the badge, protect them from harm. Always keep them safe and in your loving arms. And how do we finish on a Friday when we finish with a great poem, Tomorrow Never Comes, by Norma Cornett Merrick, which we found in the obituary of Doreen Gorieb. And it's just a reminder. Reach out. Don't let time pass. We don't know if we have tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be back. Who knows? You never know. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you walk out the door, I would give you a hug and kiss and call you back for just one more. If I knew it would be the last time, I would spare an extra minute or two to stop and say I love you instead of assuming you know I do. So just in case tomorrow never comes and today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope we will never forget. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone, young or old alike. And today may be the last chance you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take that extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss, and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their final wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear that you love them very much. You'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 12 o'clock and change. Time to go. Sue Henry show next, Rob O'Donnell show after that. But for now, we must gavel this meeting of the Club for Common Sense to a close. Wish you a lovely afternoon, a safe, fun weekend. And God willing, I'll be back with you Monday the 25th. Adios.